Hey, Lauren, you have any other info by chance? Hey, Lauren, do you know who's chasing? What agency? Can you tell? Copy that. I don't see SkyMap. Oh, there it is. Are you showing 107? Could be. Mic check 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Test 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 test. You hear me? Copy. Welcome, everybody, as you join us live on ABC7.com and our ABC7 streaming apps. Chris Christie up in Air 7 HD over an LAPD pursuit up along the 210 freeway, just leaving Latuna Canyon a short time ago. Now in the San Fernando Valley, traveling at a high rate of speed. The vehicle wanted for a shooting-related call. Apparently assault with a deadly weapon is what we're told. Unclear how many people are inside the vehicle, but it all started in South LA. LAPD's 77th Street Division beginning this pursuit about 25 minutes ago, and now you can see they are continuing that pursuit up the 210 freeway as he weaves across all three lanes of traffic at a very, very high rate of speed at times, doing triple-digit speeds, and you can see LAPD does have their airship right over him with their night sun on, applying some pressure there with several units behind him, trying to keep up in this pursuit. A primary unit, a secondary unit back there, and a third one a little bit further back, but you can see they are just doing their best to try and keep up as he continues traveling at over 100 miles per hour. Westbound 210 freeway in the next several miles, that will converge onto the 5 freeway if he commits to the freeway. Otherwise, he will have at least one more exit to possibly get off of here in Sylmar. Again, northbound, which is technically westbound on the 210 freeway through Sylmar, passing Roxford Street now, committed to that number 1 lane and using all 3 lanes as there is occasionally cars in his way. You can see the vehicle is blacked out. Headlights and taillights are off. The vehicle has pretty heavily tinted windows. Unable to really tell what's going on inside the vehicle, and again, unclear how many people are inside of that car. Several additional LAPD units now joining the pursuit, a total of 5 black and whites behind that dark colored vehicle. Again, traveling at 90 to 100 miles per hour in the number 1 lane of the 210 freeway. Coming up on the 5 freeway here in the next 30 seconds. Traffic continues to be relatively light as we begin our transition through the Newhall Pass and then eventually into the Santa Clarita Valley. There's the LAPD airship following closely overhead, calling out the location and speed of the vehicle as those ground units continue to try and keep up with them at 100 miles per hour. You can see that traffic lightening up even more the further north we get here. And they are now in the process of exiting LAPD jurisdiction, but nonetheless, they will continue the pursuit, and we'll see if there's any help from the Sheriff's Department as we get further into Santa Clarita. But right now, LAPD, the primary agency here, with 5 black and whites behind them. And now making his way onto the 5 freeway into the Newhall Pass. He will have a decision to make as there will be an exit for the 14 freeway. The 514 split is coming up here, and we will see which freeway he decides to take it north on the 5 in towards Valencia, or take the 14 freeway up into Canyon Country. We will see here in just a second as he makes his way through the Newhall Pass. Once again, if you're just joining us on ABC7.com, you are watching an LAPD pursuit making its way into the Santa Clarita Valley, coming very close to other drivers here. A lot of close calls as he continues to weave through traffic, but for the most part, able to maintain control of the vehicle at very high rates of speed, upwards of 100 miles per hour along that number 1 lane here as we continue up the 14 freeway. He had a choice to make there. Could have continued up the 5 freeway. We are now on the 14 freeway northbound, heading up through the Santa Clarita Valley with several LAPD units not too far behind him. There's that primary unit right there, and you can see this appears to be a Chrysler 200 sedan, older model, a dark colored vehicle with very heavily tinted windows, and a total of 5 units there continuing this pursuit up the 14 freeway. Vehicle moving over to the number 4 lane there, possibly showing signs of an exit over the gore point, and continuing to kind of thread the needle here through that limited traffic. Not a whole lot of cars out on a Friday night, but there is a slight slowdown up ahead as he makes his way further north. Just a few brake lights that may slow him down as the 14 freeway begins to narrow within the next half mile to a mile. Just off the nose here, continuing up through Newhall in the Santa Clarita Valley. Again, light traffic on a Friday night, but LAPD not really having a problem keeping up with him despite the speeds. He's continuing to go 90 to 100 miles per hour, even as he twists the wheel to get through some of this traffic. Now using that carpool lane over the double yellow lines to get away from those units right behind him, continuing to push 105 miles per hour. All over the paint, back into the main lanes of the 14 freeway. Continuing northbound, LAPD with their airship continuing this pursuit. We are no longer in LAPD's jurisdiction. They will have the option of handing this off to Santa Clarita or potentially the California Highway Patrol. In fact, CHP would be the first agency to get involved if LAPD decided to let this go. But as of right now, there's no sign of that happening. This is a LAPD pursuit. By all accounts so far. Again, that could change at any moment if they decide to hand this off, but right now they are holding on to this one tight. Again, the driver wanted for assault with a deadly weapon, a possible shooting suspect fleeing South LA. Once again, if you're just joining us, continuing to follow this pursuit up the 14 freeway, appears to be a Chrysler sedan, now really pushing the pedal to the metal at over 110 miles per hour, weaving through a lot of traffic, or a moderate amount of traffic, but slowing down a little bit as the 14 freeway narrows slightly here, and you can see him using all of those 3 lanes and even the carpool lane occasionally to get around those cars, and those LAPD units still following not too far behind them with their lights and sirens blaring, their airship overhead, the night sun shining brightly on that black vehicle as he continues past Via Princesa up the 14 freeway. If he continues up the 14 freeway as we begin to make our way into Canyon Country, this will eventually take him into the Antelope Valley, and he will have many more options once he gets through there. So we'll see if he gets off here before making his way into the mountains or potentially taking this all the way into Palmdale. Time will tell here, but this suspect showing no signs of pulling over, but you have to believe they are treating him as an armed and dangerous suspect. Again, wanted for assault with a deadly weapon, a possible shooting suspect out of South LA, refusing to pull over. Vehicle back in the number 1 lane at 100 miles per hour. LAPD with limited options here, unlikely to resort to anything too drastic considering the armed nature of the suspect and a fair amount of cars. Even as we make our way into Canyon Country up towards Agua Dulce, you can see there are still a handful of cars in his way. Not a whole lot of traffic, but enough to slow him down considering the speeds that he really wants to push this vehicle to. And so he's going to have some brake lights again up ahead as he makes his way through here, but he's showing a willingness to weave through anybody in his way and even using that shoulder at times to get around this traffic. Nonetheless, LAPD continuing to apply pressure with a full pursuit package, including 3 additional units that are following from a distance here. So they are committed to this pursuit. Their airship making their way up here with us here in Air 7 HD as we continue 110 miles per hour into Canyon Country. Vehicle slowing down for some reason, possibly showing signs of pulling over. There's really nowhere for him to get off up here. There are no exits, but the hazard lights are now on, and he's pulling over to the shoulder. What's that? 4 people. There are people with their hands out. Vehicle appears to be running out of gas and now coming to a stop all the way over to the shoulder, as there are a number of hands out the driver and passenger side of the vehicle ready to surrender. You can see 4 units, now a 5th unit pulling up behind them, shutting down the freeway, a full traffic break in effect as that felony stop is now underway here in Canyon Country. Once again, this is coming to a pause here, potential end to this pursuit on the northbound side of the 14 freeway. Really in no man's land, nowhere for them to get off here, and a random place to pull over, leading me to believe that the vehicle has run out of steam, but something has prompted them to pull over, and again, they appear to be willing to surrender with all of the hands out both sides of the vehicle. LAPD will begin instructing them to shut the vehicle off and start opening those doors one by one. They will take this group into custody. We can now see, with a little bit of help from that night sun, there are at least 4 people inside that car. Hands coming out from all 4 windows. The driver's side door opening first. The driver out of the vehicle, facing away from police, stepping away from the vehicle with his hands up in the air, following the instructions, and appears to be obeying those commands as he continues to step away. We will see those others come out momentarily, but they will take them out one by one and prone them out on the freeway here, as traffic has now come to a complete halt on the northbound side of the 14 freeway, again in Canyon Country. We are starting to see all that moderate traffic that was coming up on the freeway really start to build up pretty quickly here. A little bit above average traffic for a Friday night here on the 14 freeway, and again, that full traffic break is now in effect as they execute this felony stop one by one, taking these suspects wanted for assault with a deadly weapon out of South LA, beginning the process of taking them into custody. A second suspect now proned out next to the driver. Again, at least 2 more people yet to come out. Now a passenger coming out of the rear seat. That rear passenger door opening now, and a female suspect rather, a female stepping out, obeying the commands with her hands up in the air, now stepping away from the vehicle back towards the driver and passenger. That'll be 3 people so far. There is another pair of hands visible at the front seat of the car. They will be next, and it looks like the vehicle is otherwise empty. We'll get confirmation here in just a second when they give the code 4, but right now, still a passenger in the front seat, now popping that front door open, getting out of the vehicle with their hands up. Stepping backwards, and they will join the other 3 here. All 4 suspects now apparently out of the vehicle. An arrest team approaching the vehicle, making sure there's nobody else inside. They will clear the vehicle first, eventually popping the trunk here to make sure that there is no threat, and then you will see them begin to take each of these individuals into custody. Again, all 4 appearing to cooperate at the end of this high-speed pursuit up out of South LA, through downtown LA, up the 2 freeway, eventually onto the 210 freeway into Latuna Canyon, through the San Fernando Valley, up through Silmar, and through the Newhall Pass, all the way up the 14 freeway here through Santa Clarita, and we find ourselves in Canyon Country, where this pursuit has come to an end. And one by one, they are being taken in. The driver, the last one left, who will be handcuffed here in just a second. That will do it for our coverage from up here in Air 7 HD. 4 suspects taken into custody after a high-speed pursuit out of South LA, taking us all the way up the 14 freeway into Canyon Country. Fortunately, nobody hurt in this pursuit. Reporting live from Air 7 HD, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.